I'm going to call Peeni Henry.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, and I rise to take a short call on the Reserves and Other Lands Disposal Bill, and I thought it only fair, given my name had been called out several times in the previous mentions in the House. Therefore, I look now, and it's no coincidence, Mr. Chair, that this morning this House debated or had the second reading of the Te Hiku Bill. And why I mention that bill, Mr. Speaker, is the place that's actually just been referred to, Mahinepua. The Bay of Mahinepua is an absolutely fantastic place. I come from there, and it's steep in history and also in archaeological history. So it is a site of significance, and Mahinepua is a beautiful place. And I want to talk directly about that, Mr. Speaker, in terms of this particular bill. And the reason being is, this morning, after having read the second reading of the Te Hiku Bill, and we know that Ngāti Kahu have some reserved rights within the Te Hiku Bill, I just wonder, with regard to this particular bill, Mr. Speaker, after, as my colleague has already mentioned, that the setting, 23 subsection 4, the setting apart of the Mahinepua Reserve Land as a Māori Reservation Act under subsection 1 must be treated as if it had been made under Part 17 of the Ture Whenua Māori Act. Now, I've got some questions around that, Mr. Chair, and the reason for that is because with regard to the Te Hiku Bill and the, I guess, the rights of Ngāti Kahu to this particular part of the land, I wonder why, and even in the SOP, it mentions about removing it from the Reserves Act, and it puts it into, invests the interest into a Māori trust for the benefit of all New Zealanders. I wonder what implication, Mr. Chair, this will have on the rights of Ngāti Kahu in light of the recent debacle around the right of first refusal. And I just wonder if the Minister at some point in time, or certainly the House, can answer that question for me with regard to Mahinepua. Secondly, and I speak about these because I know about them, Mr. Chair, the other one is, of course, as mentioned by my colleague from the Green Party, around the Opua site. The Opua Esplanade Reserve Land, Mr. Speaker, it has had a troubled past, and it's trod along a very rough pathway to this point in time, and there are still some questions about it. The questions that are certainly been raised already relating to the Opua Esplanade is the actual use of that place for the public, as a reserve for the public there. There are concerns that through this particular legislation on that particular block of land in Opua, Mr. Chair, it is actually extinguishing the rights of some of the people and indeed the public there in Opua. One of the reasons that's significant to me in particular, Mr. Chair, is because it was my grandfather who placed a pou whenua on the land there, actually right next door to that particular esplanade, stating the claim of mana whenua of the people of the Taumarere River to the place in Opua. So it is a site of significance, and I wonder if this bill is actually in an attempt, because the Opua issue has been it's been debated for decades now. I wonder if this is just another cheap attempt actually at shifting, as the bill already mentions, one of those hard blocks of land or those hard areas to deal with. And sadly, Mr. Chair, I don't believe that actually deals with the issue, and that's of great concern to myself and the people in and around Opua. And I do want to mention my auntie Mikey Marks for her dedication to this particular cause. She's fought this all the way here into the Select Committee, into the House, in the halls of the local council in the far north, has dealt with many members of Parliament, and this particular piece in the legislation, like I say, doesn't seem to deal with the issue, but is just moving on with the responsibility, and that's a concern, as mentioned there in the Opua Esplanade Reserve Land. Kia ora, Mr. Speaker. Tēnā koe.